So our first story comes from Conor McGregor, who published his MMA greatest of all time list on his Twitter. It generated a lot of backlash and reactions from other UFC fighters. Let's hop right in and get to the list. Conor tweeted, "GOAT thread. The array of finishes across 2 divisions with champion status in 1. Anderson Silva's the number 1 MMA GOAT. My array of finishes across 3 divisions with champion status in 2. I'm number 2, if not tied for number 1. However, I am still active. Number 1 is fully secured by career end and easily. GSP is in at number 3, much less array of finishes but champion status in 2. He is far behind though. Reasons are he left 170 after much damage taken, plus a questionable decision, never re-engaged 170-pound successors, bottled the Anderson fight, and only moved when the one-eyed fighter presented. Played safe. Jon is number 4, maybe tied for number 3. More array of finishes than GSP and still active but champion status in just 1. Reasons are multiple lackluster decision performances plus a questionable decision win, attempting to safe play a heavyweight entry and avoiding its champion. I didn't mention PED results on multiple entrants, even though that makes me the clear current number 1 MMA GOAT, along with still being active. Although it shames, as well as puts all runs and finishes in complete doubt, I've snored multiple juice heads. A true GOAT must do it all." Conor did explain where Khabib is ranked in this. He said, "Fancy record, but a way to go before any GOAT entry. His only highlight is a win over me with a hangover and a broken foot. Other than that, he made Iaquinta's career with a bad performance before Cerrone ended it again. 3 rounds to get Poirier out, 0 array of finishes, bottled many bouts, 0 else of note." Now this is how Jon Jones reacted to the list. He tweeted, "And still, try that one first, lad. I'm not going to debate who is the GOAT, I'll let the fans do that for me." He then posted a screenshot of the most wins in UFC title bouts, which he captioned with, "GOAT, where you at?" Nate Diaz inserted himself into the discussion. He wrote, "Smoke the number 1 pound for pound and double champ. Know the real GOAT when you see him, and don't forget I did it better and quicker than anyone else on the ground, and send him down with punches quicker than Mayweather did. Call y'all rankings and know a real GOAT when you see me. Pound for pound the baddest are here, all y'all." Jon Jones did respond to Nate Diaz on Instagram. He wrote, "Now this guy's the GOAT. This is just starting to get ridiculous." Jorge Masvidal took this chance to call out Nate Diaz. He wrote, "I beg to differ, hashtag 1 of 1. And then he followed up with another tweet, "Let's run it back, hashtag the resurrection, hashtag and still." Lastly, we have Khabib, who fired back at Conor with this, "You tapped out in featherweight, you tapped out in lightweight, and you tapped out in welterweight. You never defended a title in the UFC or Cage Warriors. You gave up more than GSP, Spider, and Bones altogether. You are the greatest UFC fighter in Twitter history." Let me know what you think of Conor's GOAT list in the comments down below. Our next story comes from Colby Covington. Speaking of Mike Heck, Covington says Usman and Masvidal are the only 2 fights that he wants. Here's the clip.
"I want them both in the same night, Mike. That's how pissed off. I have such a bad, salty taste in my mouth from my last fight with Marty Fake Newsman, just getting cheated by Mark Not So Goddard, just all the fake fouls and the fouls that did happen he doesn't call, and the bullshit early stoppage when I was clearly still in the fight and intelligently defending myself. So, we're going to run that back. There's going to be a sequel and trilogy with Marty Fake Newsman. But my ex-best friend, Street Judas Masvidal, he has a special ass whooping waiting for him. He's for sure going to get, he's talking about me getting my jaw wired shut. Bitch, I never got one thing fucking wired shut on my fucking mouth. But when we fight, I promise you, Street Judas, your teeth will be wired shut. I'm going to fucking take you down. I'm going to fucking slice you up with my elbows, and I'm going to break your fucking face with these fucking knuckles. Mark my words, Mike. Those are the only fights I want, the biggest fights possible, and the people are going to be fucking super satisfied when they see Colby Chaos Covington version 2.0. I was playing before, Mike. Now I'm fucking serious. I'm not fucking playing around anymore."
Our next story comes from Daniel Cormier. Speaking on the DC Helwani show, Cormier doesn't believe that Alistair Overeem can make another run at the title at the age of 40.
I think Alistair Overeem is very good still. I think Alistair Overeem will struggle when he gets to the very elite. Because I don't know if there's a time where he has to fight Francis again where it's going to change. I don't know if he fights Alexander Volkov and the result is different. You know what I'm saying? I think that those championship days, while they can be recreated, he just turned 40. It's hard to build back up to that title fight with an extended run. I'm 41 years old, right? And I'm fighting for the belt. If I was having to build back up, I don't even know if I could do that, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know if I could go through 3 contenders in order to get a title shot. I just don't know. But I do know that on one night, you can still go and win a fight. So if you tell me Alistair's fighting for the belt next, maybe he might become the champion. But does he have that run in him to get back to the top? I think there's going to be a hiccup along the way, and then it just it sets you back. And when you're older, you can't have setbacks. That's what the Rosenstrike thing did. Because if he wouldn't have lost the Rosenstrike, he'd be right. Like, he'd be one of those guys that you're like, man, well, is Alistair Overeem ready again for a title shot? Like, so I think that he'll do fine, but I just think that there'll be hiccups along the way that will deter him from getting back to fighting for the championship.
Our next story comes from Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Speaking of MMA crazy, Thompson picks Tyron Woodley over Gilbert Burns in their upcoming fight.
I think that plays more into, I think it's a better fight for Tyron for sure. Both fairly sizable in height, both grapplers, high-level grapplers. I think Tyron's got the better striking. I think he's got the heavier hands. I think Tyron's going to go out there and piece him up because the guy is remotivated, and I saw him during his last camp, and I actually chatted with him. We did an Instagram live together, and the guy is motivated. So that's a guy I would not want to stand up against, you know, in this next up-and-coming fights. But Burns is on a good fight winning streak. He just knocked out Damian Maia, so you know he's got confidence for days. One of his sparring main buddies and sparring partners is Vicente Luque. So he's got good training as well. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight.
Our next story comes from Mike Perry. Speaking of MMA Junkie, Mike Perry says he's willing to fight Darren Till at 185 and talks about that one time they sparred together.
It doesn't line up as well because I'm 185 pounds right now, but if he wants to cut weight to 185, I'll fight his ass at 185. I'll try to put a couple pounds on, and I'll be faster than him, and he'll be a fat piece of shit. Him. I'll fight that anytime. I busted his eye open when we sparred that one time. He has some heavy hips, so I'll tell him that because he's a fat piece of shit. So his hips were heavy, and his feet were glued to the fucking floor. But I busted his eye up, and I can hit him about 20 times. I hit him with a couple combinations, little pity pats to the face. He was so easy to hit. It's like he was a statue standing still, and I was just dancing around him. And then he tried to shoot on me, and I kneed him in the fucking eye, and he was bleeding in that little picture that we took. And what did he do? When y'all asked him about sparring with Mike Perry, oh, he's a fucking great fighter, a terrific fighter. He was sucking my dick. Him.
Our next story comes from Darren Till. Speaking on the Eurobash podcast, Darren Till talks about his Instagram messages he has with Israel Adesanya.
He fucked me off for the fucking Ultimate Fight. He's like, no. So I was like, okay. Wait till I fucking burst Whittaker's head, and then we'll see what you're saying, you scrawny little cunt. But nah, mate, we speak a lot to be truthfully. He messaged me the other day, and he was like, Darren, KFC's back open, mate. Get your fat ass down there. And I was like, I'll be there, mate. Don't worry. He's actually a good guy. He is. Listen, mate, we are going to fight. I don't care what anyone says. We're going to fight. The best man will win. I believe I will beat him, and I will become the middleweight champion. Whatever. We will fight. It'll be for the culture. It'll be for the fans, for the people, for the culture of Muay Thai, kickboxing, K1 / everything, yeah? And it's going to be epic. But until then, mate, I got no hard feelings towards that man, yeah? I'm going to punch a hole through his face, and he's probably going to punch one through mine. But he gets the joke, he gets the banter, he gets the frenemies.
Our next story comes from Aljamain Sterling. Speaking on the Anik and Florian podcast, Sterling gives his thoughts on the Cejudo versus Cruz stoppage.
I will say I thought the stoppage was like right on the border, but I do think Dom was done. We counted 13 unanswered strikes, and I'm not saying they were the biggest bombs, and some of them were kind of glancing. Yeah. But I don't think he was in a bad way. When he got hit with that, as Dominic Reyes puts it, a crow hawk after the knee, his whole head planted. It did not look good. I'm not saying he couldn't have rallied back. We would never know. Right. But there was some pretty significant strikes, and it was kind of it kind of reminded me of TJ Dillashaw when he fought Henry Cejudo as well in that same position. And the one thing I will give credit for Cejudo did really well. When he had him in the turtle position, he didn't have a tight waist with his right arm and just punched with the left. He took his right hand and he froze Dominic Cruz's right arm to the mat, so he couldn't do the Granby roll that he normally does or try to get back to his feet. So him blocking the arm, unloading those strikes, it took away Cruz's ability to block the punches and for him to roll out of danger to kind of recover. So Cejudo did a really good job in that position, and even though he was on his way up when the ref jumped in. So it's really hard to say that Cruz was still in it. I mean, he could have probably landed another 3-4 punches, and we really don't know what would have happened. I don't know. So that I felt like it was an okay stoppage. You ate that many strikes. You didn't block. You couldn't roll. It's really hard. I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it's a title fight. I know what he's talking about and giving him every opportunity. But we saw every opportunity against Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira, and
All right.
Next up, we got some fight news. Cynthia Calvillo versus Jessica Eye to headline UFC Fight Night on June 13th. Dan Hooker versus Dustin Poirier will headline UFC Fight Night on June 27th, and Pedro Munhoz versus Frankie Edgar is in the works for July 11th. That about wraps up the video for today. Have a great day and peace.